Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2025, not 2015, not 2020. Right now, a brand new chapter. And let me tell you something up front, and I want you to hear it with your soul. If you want this year to be different, better, more powerful, you must stop looking left and right and start looking within. This is the year you make it personal. Because the truth is, no one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you the life you want. Not your boss, not your partner, not your friends, and definitely not your social media followers. You've got to own it. Own your mind, own your time, own your energy, own your life. This year is about cutting the noise. You've got 24 hours in a day, and guess what? So does the billionaire, the athlete, the entrepreneur, the artist, the parent working 2 jobs. The question is, what are you doing with yours? You want clarity? Then kill the distractions. You want peace? Then set boundaries like your life depends on it, because it does. You want growth? Then stop worrying about who's ahead of you, behind you, beside you. Look in the mirror. That's your only competition. And I'm not saying isolate yourself. I'm saying elevate yourself. When you elevate your standards, your circle will either rise with you or fall away, and that's okay. Stop watering dead plants. Start planting roots where growth is possible. In 2025, here's the deal. You train your mind like an athlete trains their body. You feed it with discipline, not dopamine. You set goals that scare you and then you chase them like your life depends on it. Because let's be real, what's the alternative? Stay stuck, keep scrolling, keep waiting, keep making excuses? That's not who you are. You are a force, a leader, a creator, but only if you decide to be that every damn day. So this year, no more people pleasing, no more comparison, no more waiting for permission. Focus only on yourself, your growth, your fire, your purpose. Because when you do that, when you fully step into who you were meant to be, you become unstoppable. And suddenly, everything you've been chasing starts chasing you. Let's go make 2025 the year you don't just dream, you execute, you rise, you dominate. Focus only on yourself and watch what happens. Discipline over distraction is not just a concept. It's the foundation of every meaningful transformation. In a world that's louder, faster, and more connected than ever, distraction has become the default state. Notifications ping every minute. Feeds are endless. Entertainment is instant. Opinions flood your mind before you even finish forming your own. It's a battlefield out there. And if you don't fight for your focus, you will lose it. Every time you pick up your phone first thing in the morning, you're training your brain to react instead of lead. You're giving away control before you've even opened your eyes fully. The moment you scroll mindlessly, the moment you open an app out of habit, you're reinforcing distraction as your standard operating system. And the scariest part, it feels normal. It feels harmless. But every second of distraction pulls you further from your goals, from your center, from your true power. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about alignment. It's about choosing what matters most over what tempts you in the moment. It's about setting a vision for who you want to be. And then carving every thought, every decision, every action to match that vision. Discipline says, I do what needs to be done whether I feel like it or not. Discipline isn't sexy, it's not loud, it doesn't beg for applause, but it's the one thing that separates those who live with intention from those who drift aimlessly, blaming time, blaming others, blaming circumstance. You don't rise to the level of your potential, you fall to the level of your systems. And those systems are built through disciplined choices made over and over again. Want to write a book? Want to get in shape? Want to start a business? None of that happens because you feel inspired. It happens because you show up when it's hard, when it's boring, when no one's watching. That's discipline. That's power. And don't confuse being busy with being disciplined. Distraction wears a mask. It can look productive. You can be answering emails, checking stats, watching videos for research, and never once touch the thing that actually matters. True discipline is about saying no. No to the unnecessary. No to the urgent but unimportant. No to the easy path. It's about building a relationship with discomfort. Because the uncomfortable things, those are where growth hides. That's where the real breakthroughs happen. You've got to train discipline like a muscle. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be strong for life. The same goes for your focus, your time, your habits. Every day you decide, do I act according to my goals or do I react to the world? And make no mistake, every distraction you give into makes the next one easier. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you erode trust in your own word. But every disciplined act, no matter how small, builds that trust back. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the identity of someone who gets it done. And identity is everything. This year, you have to make discipline your daily practice. You schedule your workouts like meetings. You block time for deep work. You silence the noise. You choose books over feeds, progress over comfort, purpose over popularity. And it's not going to feel good all the time. You'll have days where motivation is nowhere to be found. That's exactly when discipline kicks in. That's where the edge is. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Most of your competition is distracted. Most people can't go 30 minutes without checking something. Most people start and stop a dozen things. Most people chase dopamine, not results. If you can build even a fraction more focus, even a sliver more consistency, you're already ahead. You don't need to be twice as smart or twice as talented. You just need to be twice as committed. Discipline is a form of freedom. It frees you from the chaos. It frees you from regret. It frees you from the pain of knowing you could have done more. It's not about being rigid, it's about being intentional. You decide what matters, and then you act in alignment with that decision. Every single day, especially on the days you don't feel like it. Distraction feels good now, discipline feels good later. You choose. Compete with your past self, not others. That's the mindset shift that separates the grounded from the anxious, the fulfilled from the frustrated. In a culture obsessed with comparison, where every scroll shows you someone else's highlight reel, it's easy to lose yourself in a race that was never meant for you. You see someone else's success and instantly question your own progress. You hear about someone crushing their goals, and instead of being inspired, you feel behind. But here's the truth. Comparison is a thief. And it doesn't just steal your joy. It robs your clarity, your focus, and your direction. When you compete with others, you're chasing moving targets. You're playing by rules you didn't set, measuring yourself against paths you don't even want. That person you're jealous of might be miserable. That business that looks successful might be drowning in debt. That perfect relationship you admire might be on the verge of collapse. You never know the full picture, and yet you let the illusion control your self-worth. You let someone else's journey dictate how you feel about yours. But when you compete with your past self, everything changes. Now you're in control. Now it's about you versus you. Where were you last year? What have you learned since then? Are you handling stress better? Are you making braver choices? Are you becoming more disciplined, more intentional, more aligned with the person you want to be? That's progress. That's success. And that's what matters. Progress is personal. It's not a metric you can always post or track in numbers. Sometimes it's waking up without anxiety. Sometimes it's having the hard conversation you used to avoid. Sometimes It's walking away from something that no longer serves you, even when it's familiar. If you only measure your growth by external achievements, you'll miss the deeper evolution happening inside you. Competing with your past self means recognizing those internal victories and honoring them just as much as the external ones. You have to realize the only fair comparison is with who you were, not with who someone else is. Everyone's journey is custom built. Your background, your trauma, your habits, your responsibilities, your passions. All of that makes your story unique. And yet, most people throw away their uniqueness to fit into someone else's mold. You weren't meant to replicate anyone. You were meant to become fully, unapologetically you. And that starts by measuring success through your own lens. Ask yourself, am I becoming harder to break? Am I making fewer excuses? Am I owning my choices? Those are the milestones that matter. You're not here to be better than others. You're here to be better than the version of you that stayed small. You're here to evolve, to sharpen your mindset, to rise through your own resistance. And that's not something you can outsource or compare. It's something you commit to daily. The moment you shift focus from competition with others to competition with yourself, you reclaim your power. You stop trying to win someone else's game and start mastering your own. You stop measuring your self-worth by likes, by rankings, by fleeting validation, and start measuring it by integrity, by growth, by follow-through. And that creates a deep internal peace, the kind that doesn't shake when someone else wins, because their success no longer threatens you. It inspires you. You're too locked into your own lane to be thrown off by theirs. Self-competition builds humility because you know you're not perfect and you don't pretend to be. It builds confidence because you're improving in real ways that no one can take from you. It builds resilience because setbacks don't destroy you, they just show you where to grow. And over time, this mindset compounds. Day after day, year after year, you become someone unrecognizable compared to who you used to be. Not because you beat someone else, but because you kept showing up better than the day before. When you compete with your past self, you get honest. You stop running from your flaws and start working on them. You stop hiding behind excuses and start taking ownership. You stop waiting for perfect timing and start moving forward with what you've got. It's not glamorous, but it's real. It's the kind of growth that lasts. The kind that builds a foundation so strong, it doesn't matter what life throws at you, because you've already proven to yourself that you can rise. And that's the only competition worth winning. Protect your energy and set boundaries. In a world where everyone wants access to you, your time, your thoughts, your emotional space, there's nothing more powerful than choosing where your energy goes. Most people walk through life like open doors, letting anyone and anything walk in, take what they want, and leave chaos behind. They say yes to everything, try to please everyone, and exhaust themselves trying to be everything for everybody. And in the process, they forget who they are, they lose sight of what matters, they wake up drained, frustrated, and disconnected from their own purpose. Your energy is your life force, it's your clarity, your drive, your creativity, your peace. And if you don't protect it, the world will consume it without hesitation. Every negative conversation you engage in, every toxic relationship you entertain, every task you say yes to out of guilt instead of alignment, it all comes at a cost. And that cost is your power. You cannot build a strong, focused, fulfilled life if you're constantly leaking energy in 100 directions that don't serve you. You cannot build a strong, focused, fulfilled life if you're constantly leaking energy in 100 directions. That setting boundaries isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. It's not about pushing people away. It's about choosing who gets to come close. And not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone earns the right to be in your space, hear your dreams, or influence your mood. You have to be ruthless about protecting the environment where your mind and soul live, because the wrong energy is contagious. Spend enough time around people who complain, doubt, gossip, or settle, and you'll start doing the same without even realizing it. Boundaries are the filters that protect your focus. They separate the noise from the signal. When you set boundaries, you say to the world, this is what I allow, this is what I don't, and I'm not afraid to walk away if you cross the line. And yes, people won't like it. Some will call you selfish. Some will try to guilt you back into old patterns. But remember, the only people who get upset about your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you not having any. Their discomfort is not your responsibility, your peace is. Protecting your energy also means choosing where you invest your time. Not every opportunity is worth chasing. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Just because something is available doesn't mean it's aligned. You have to learn to say no, not just politely, but powerfully. Because every yes is a trade. When you say yes to something meaningless, you're saying no to something that could move your life forward. And most people don't realize that until it's too late. They spread themselves thin, doing too many things for too many people, and then wonder why they feel burned out and empty. Your calendar is a reflection of your values. If it's full of obligations, distractions, and things you secretly resent doing, that's a sign your boundaries are weak. You need space to think, space to create, space to be. Protecting your energy means building that space on purpose. It means scheduling time for yourself like you'd schedule a meeting with someone important, because you are. And the relationship you have with yourself is the foundation for everything else. Sometimes protecting your energy means walking away from people you love. Not out of hate, but out of self-respect. Just because someone's been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they belong in your future. Growth often creates distance, and that's okay. The version of you that wants peace, progress, and purpose cannot survive in the same environment that created your old habits. You cannot change your life and stay exactly where you've always been. Boundaries create the space for elevation. Energy is finite. You only get so much in a day. And how you spend it determines the quality of your life. Protect it like your dreams depend on it, because they do. Surround yourself with people who refill you, not just drain you. Spend time in environments that challenge and uplift you. Be intentional with your conversations, your inputs, your commitments. If something or someone consistently takes more than they give, it's time to reevaluate. Not everything deserves your response. Not every conflict needs your presence. Protecting your energy means stepping back when necessary, without guilt, without explanation, without apology. Elevate your standards or stay stuck. That's the crossroads everyone faces at some point in their journey. You either raise the level of what you expect from yourself, or you settle for a life that keeps repeating the same struggles, the same excuses, the same limitations. Life will meet you at the level of your standards, not your dreams. You can dream big, visualize, manifest all you want, but if your standards are low, your results will reflect that every single time. Standards are not goals. Goals are what you want. Standards are what you accept. There's a massive difference between hoping for success and refusing to tolerate mediocrity. One is wishful thinking. The other is a non-negotiable. And most people stay stuck not because they don't want more, but because they continue to tolerate less. They tolerate their own procrastination. They tolerate toxic relationships. They tolerate negative self-talk. They tolerate environments that drain them. And what you tolerate, you invite to stay. Elevating your standards starts with your inner dialogue. What do you say to yourself when no one's listening? What do you believe you're worthy of? If deep down you believe you're not good enough, not smart enough, not disciplined enough, your actions will mirror that belief. And your standards will stay low because you're still carrying around a story that says you don't deserve better. But when you change the story, you change the standard. When you decide that self-respect is the baseline, not the exception, everything begins to shift. This applies to every area of life: your health, your career, your relationships, your habits. You cannot rise while keeping the same low standards that built your comfort zone. If you want to be in great shape, you raise your standard for what you put in your body, how often you move, how you rest. If you want meaningful relationships, you raise your standard for how you communicate, what kind of people you let into your life, and what kind of behavior you will no longer entertain. If you want success in business or your career, you raise your standard for the quality of your work, how you manage your time, and how you show up when no one is watching. Raising your standards is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. It's saying no when it would be easier to say yes. It's pushing one more rep at the gym when your body says quit. It's rewriting that page even when your mind tells you it's good enough. It's being honest with yourself when you fall short and holding yourself accountable instead of blaming the world. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. You stop letting yourself off the hook so easily. You stop lowering the bar every time it gets hard. You stop waiting for motivation to rescue you and instead build systems and discipline that carry you through. When your standards go up, your actions follow. Your identity begins to catch up. And so does your environment. People around you either rise to meet you or fall away. And that's a natural part of growth. You stop attracting chaos and start attracting alignment. You stop being available for energy that drains you. You stop compromising on your values just to fit in. You no longer feel guilty for wanting more because now it's rooted in self-respect, not ego. But here's the challenge. Elevating your standards requires discomfort. It requires change. It requires shedding old habits, old beliefs, sometimes old relationships. There will be resistance. You'll be tempted to go back to what's familiar, even if it's painful. That's when you double down. That's when you remind yourself that the discomfort of growth is nothing compared to the pain of staying stuck. That version of you that's just surviving, just getting by, just coping, that's not the real you. That's the version molded by low standards and old stories. The real you is on the other side of the line you've been too afraid to draw. When you truly elevate your standards, excuses don't survive. You no longer accept average from yourself. You no longer justify your bad habits. You no longer allow inconsistency to hide behind circumstance. You begin to demand more from every part of your life, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you finally realize your life reflects what you settle for. And you're done settling. You're done repeating the same cycles. You're done pretending that change will happen while keeping everything else the same. You're ready to rise, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Execution over excuses every day. That's the real difference maker. It's not who has the best ideas, the fanciest vision board, the most polished plan. It's who shows up, does the work, and follows through when motivation is gone and circumstances aren't ideal. Excuses are easy. They're always available. They sound reasonable, even logical, but every excuse, no matter how convincing, is a brick in the wall between you and the life you want. And the more you stack them, the harder it gets to see the way forward. Execution means you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop letting your emotions dictate your effort. You make a decision, you create a plan, and then you execute relentlessly. You treat it like a mission. Whether you feel like it or not becomes irrelevant. The goal isn't to feel ready. The goal is to be consistent. Action beats analysis. Momentum beats perfection. Too many people get stuck thinking, planning, preparing, but never actually doing. They convince themselves they're working when all they're doing is avoiding. It's not that they don't have time. It's that they haven't prioritized execution. Because execution is uncomfortable. It exposes your weaknesses. It challenges your self-image. It brings up resistance. And most people would rather stay in the safe zone of talking about what they want than risk the discomfort of chasing it. But comfort is a trap. It rewards you now and punishes you later. Execution is the opposite. It's hard now, but pays off for the rest of your life. When you build a life centered on execution, you start to separate yourself from the pack. Because most people are stuck in the loop of starting and stopping. They go hard for a week and then disappear for a month. They commit in the morning and bail by the afternoon. They let their mood make the decision instead of their mission. But when you execute every day, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, you build something rare. You build trust with yourself. You start seeing real progress. And progress is fuel. The more you do, the more you believe. The more you believe, the more you do. It becomes a cycle of growth instead of a cycle of excuses. Every excuse you allow becomes a habit. If you skip the gym today, it's easier to skip tomorrow. If you delay a conversation, it gets harder to have it. If you keep saying, I'll start Monday, you'll wake up and it's next year. Excuses compound in the same way discipline does. And the scary part is, they don't show up loud. They whisper. They disguise themselves as valid reasons. I'm tired. I had a long day. I'm not ready. But all of those reasons dissolve the moment you take action. Because action changes state. Once you start, energy shows up. Once you move, clarity begins. But you've got to break the habit of waiting and start executing instead. Execution doesn't mean doing everything. It means doing what matters most. The needle movers, the habits that align with your highest self. It's about focus, not just effort. A full schedule doesn't mean full progress. You can be busy all day and still avoid what actually matters. That's not execution, that's avoidance dressed up as productivity. Real execution is strategic, it's targeted, it's ruthless about eliminating what doesn't move the mission forward. And you don't need to feel motivated to execute, you need structure, you need standards, you need rituals that kick in when willpower runs out. You need to remove the friction between you and the task. Lay out the shoes the night before. Block the time on your calendar. Eliminate distractions before they become temptations. Make it easier to win and harder to avoid. That's how professionals operate. Amateurs wait for inspiration. Pros build systems that produce results no matter how they feel. If you want to change your life in 2025, execution has to become your default. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. You train yourself to take action in discomfort, to move forward without certainty, to push through the resistance. Because every day you execute, you build resilience. You build momentum. You build the life that excuses kept you from living. And the only way to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be is simple. Execute relentlessly, or stay stuck wondering what could have been.